Hello and welcome once again to the Dwarven Tavern. I am Lyric and I am going to be talking to you today in another beginner's video about role-playing and why it is so important. Now, if you watch our videos, you know for a fact that here at the Dwarven Tavern we are really nitpicky when it comes to being a role player. There is such thing as role-playing too much, and there is such thing as role-playing too little. The role-playing too little is called being a metagamer. Role-playing too much is just being a bad role player. I know there's a specific term for that, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. I'll have to insert it in the caption below. So, let's talk about roleplay. What is roleplay? Well, not only is it a sexual act, but that's not what we're talking about in this video. We're talking about getting into a role. What does it mean to be getting into a role? Well, if you are playing a specific character, that is called a role. You have a specific role to play, thus roleplay. For example, I like to play a character that is a bard cleric, and she is a very optimistic, very naive, very innocent character, and she has a very poetic way of speaking. So in order for me to roleplay her correctly, I have to get in that mindset. And how to do that is to think like a very Shakespearean, naive, romantic character. And what ends up happening is I turn out to be a character like this. Hello, my name is Itim Soleil Tilesur, and I'm here to help you in any way that I absolutely can. I know that it might be difficult for you to understand what I'm talking about, but I'll do my best to explain it, and if you must, ask me any questions. See, that is getting into a character, that is role-playing. Even though I, sound exactly like her, she has a completely different personality than I do. And the best way to describe it, the best way to think about it is that it's acting. You're pretending to be someone else. And the better you are, the better role player you are, obviously. And not only that, but if you watch our experience points video, depending on the DM, you may even get experience points for role-playing your character better. For example, an example of a bad role player is if I were to play my character Buduk, his name is Buduk Vanderyil, and he is a thug. He is a half-orc. He is in charge, whether you like it or not. Even if his kind is not allowed in that bar, he will be in that bar, and you have no decision about it. In order for me to get in his mindset, I need to be a little more abrasive than I myself as Lyric am. So, if I were to be out of character for Buduk Vanderyil, I would be passive-aggressive. I would be, okay, let me demonstrate for you the difference between Buduk Vanderyil and out-of-character Buduk Vanderyil. Buduk, in character, is, "Oi, what do you think you're doing here? You think you can just be here? No, get out of my way! I own this place!" I don't know what happened to that accent, but it's all over the place. But, that's my gym! You think that's your gym? That's my gym! Give me that gym! What's wrong with you? I'm in charge here, I'm the boss! That's Buduk. Out-of-character Buduk is, oh, he got the gym? Fine, I'll just have to steal it from him in his sleep. He is a rogue, and that's normally what rogues would do, except he is a half-orc, and a half-orc rogue doesn't necessarily follow the lines of the definition of rogue. They're more thuggish, they're more abrasive with their thievery, they're more in charge, they're like outright robbers. So, Buduk, being in character, is more abrasive and more in control, while out of character Buduk is passive-aggressive and snide and sneaky, and it just gives me a weird feeling. So, what can you do to be more in character? The best thing that I can say is describe your character to yourself. How do you want them to be portrayed? And once you find that set definition, write it down so that you remember that that's what the character is supposed to be like. And yes, their personalities can change in game, but make sure that it's not changing because you wanted them to be a certain way and then all of a sudden you changed your mind. Make sure that they're changing their personality because of what they're experiencing, not what you're experiencing. What I mean by that is if you're mad at someone else, don't make your character mad at their character too. Don't make your character mad at the DM just because you don't agree with what the DM is doing. Your character has no, I mean, they're your character, but they have no correlation to you as a person, to you as a player. So it's very important to remember when you're role-playing, even though you want to bring life to that character, you're not the same person. Your life is not theirs. So you can bring personal experiences into the game, but don't make it... That's called metagaming, is when you bring your life into theirs. It's when you realize something, then your character also realizes something. And what I mean by that is, for example, the DM tells another player who is in an opposite room they see something. And your character does not hear that because they're not in the same room. A good role player would realize this. A bad role player would metagame and say they also see this and therefore they also react. For example, I had a character who was in an opposite room than another character, and one of my meta moments was when I heard this and I replied without thinking. And here at the tavern we joke about that and pretend that we're yelling from the other room. So, in order to avoid that, just remember where your character is and who they're with and if they can hear it. And DMs, if you want to avoid this, note passing and texting is a really big method, really big methods to get past the metagaming if you have characters who are really notorious for that. If you text your players or if you pass notes to your players that you only want one player to know, then that's just, that's an easy way for them to avoid that, and it also helps shape the role-playing into being a better experience. Okay, so how do you be a better role player? Well, one, what I just said. Write down your character's information, write down who they are to you. Number two is research. Do research on maybe acting. Do research, or just by watching movies. Know that the people playing these characters are not that person. Know that Vin Diesel is not Riddick. Know that Orlando Bloom is not Legolas. Know that Sir Ian McKellen is not Gandalf. It's very important to remember that these characters are not their actors and vice versa. They might have a lot of similarities, as in appearances or even in personality, but that doesn't mean that they're the same person. And you have to remember that that is the exact same thing as when you're playing a character on paper. They are not the same person as you. And that is a key to being a good role player. So why is it so important? Well, you're playing the game. Actually, I don't know the reason you're playing the game. But D&D, Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, 13th Age, all of the role-playing games, they're made for being a different person. They're made for being a different character, having a different experience, writing stories between friends and family, and just, having an escape from reality. You don't want to bring yourself into any of that unless you're making the campaign specifically for it. So if you're creating a campaign that you want to break away from your 9-to-5 job and you want a character who is ferocious and gallant and wondrous and beautiful, you don't want to make them the same person that sits at your desk from 9 to 5 every day. So you got to keep that in mind. And at the same time, make sure that that person who is gallant and beautiful and wondrous and ferocious in all of their glory is not sneaky and conniving and whatever, because those are two different personalities. Again, unless they're created that way, because I have played split personality characters before, and so have other Taverniers. Like Tavernier Lissa actually played one character with her friend who had split personalities, and they had one character was named this and another character was named that, but they were the same character. And it was very interesting to watch. It was very interesting to play too, because I also played a character named Nora Dora, who had two personalities named Nora and Dora, and that was mostly because she was passed between players when someone wouldn't show up or, the campaign happened without that person. And that was actually a very fun experience also. So, Role-playing is a very complex topic, it is very difficult to master, and it takes time to do correctly. However, if you game to get that experience of being a different person, just have fun with it. And that is the underlining thing about the whole thing. It is just a game, and have fun with it. Because if you don't have fun with the game, why are you playing? So, that is the best I can do for now. If you have any comments or questions or suggestions below, experiences of good or bad role-playing, please comment below. We really do want to hear about your experiences. And if you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. Especially not just for role-playing, but for any beginner video. If you have friends who want to game but don't know where to start, point them in my direction, show them my videos, and if you have any suggestions that you want them to know specifically, comment below. I'd love to hear them and I'd love to do a video about it. So, I have been Lyric. If you have any questions, again, down below. And on behalf of the entire cast and crew, oh my god, entire cast and crew of the Dwarven Tavern, I am super tongue-tied right now and I do apologize for that. I am Lyric, and we wish for you to want for nothing but adventure, and at first I feared it, then I charged. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.